Hello, everybody. Hello, welcome. I am Patrick, your friendly neighborhood shaman, and I'm just getting set up here. Come on in, welcome. We are going to do some medicine card readings tonight. Oh, and my phone holder is about to collapse. There we go. Hopefully that will hold. Come on in. I have our first reading recipient, Rebecca, and if whoever else would like, the way it works here, with the first 6 people to post yes in the comments get a 1-card medicine card reading. And so we work with these beautiful medicine cards where each card has a different totem animal. And each animal, of course, has its own energy, its own medicine. And Valerie. Oh, okay, there's the comments. I was wondering where like all the comments were. Hey, Rebecca, I got you down. Oh, wow. Okay, lots of people tonight. Yay. So, got Valerie, Rebecca, Emerald. Hey, Emerald. And, oh, thanks, Roulette. You like my shirt? Oh, thank you, Rebecca. All right, so we've got 3 people. There's room for 3 more. If there's anybody who wants a 1-card reading, go ahead and post yes. I am just going to light my candle and smudge my cards a little bit. And the only thing tonight is free. Oh, hey, Josh. How you doing? All right, Josh. Gotcha. What was I saying? Oh, and so tonight is free. The only thing that I ask in return, if you would, is to share this video. Count again. Valerie told me to count again. Did I miss people? I got Valerie, Rebecca, Emerald, and Josh. Awesome, Josh. Living the dream. All right, so I'm just gonna smudge my cards. Roulette and Joe, did you guys want? I saw that you popped on, but I didn't see you say yes or that you wanted. So, did you guys? Okay, Roulette and Joe. I saw you come on, but you didn't say that you wanted a card, so I just kind of, I will put you. You are the last 2. Joe and Roulette. Awesome. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. I have been, if you're new here, I've been doing this since pretty much since the beginning of the pandemic, and I think I've missed once or twice. So I've been doing this every week for 2.5, almost 3 years. So, and I keep doing it because I love it so much, and I appreciate everyone who continues to show up. And so we are going to go ahead and get started. So Rebecca is first. because she messaged me beforehand and got top to the list, so I'm going to give her special attention. All right. All right, Rebecca. The one that came up for you is Hawk. Hawk is always kind of a funny one when it comes up. When Hawk comes up, and I'm doing a reading for someone, it's like the message of Hawk is that there's a message for you, right? And Jessica, we already have our 6, but I will pull a card at the very end to cover everybody, whether they've had a reading or not. So, and what I always tell people is to pay attention throughout this hour or whatever, however long we go, and pay attention to all the cards, because even if you have an individual reading, sometimes other cards will talk to you, or something I say will just kind of like, you'll hear that little spark, a little, your ears will perk up a little bit. And so the messages are all through. So pay attention, see what your heart hears, and then at the very end, I will pull a card for everybody. So, yeah. Otherwise, we'll be here all night. I could talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. So, Rebecca, give me a moment to tune into Hawk and see what. Okay. I know you told me a little bit about yourself and what you do beforehand, and I think I just got chills. This is a validation that you are doing what you're meant to do. Hawk is the messenger of the gods. Hawk, rather like, as opposed to, say, eagle, who just soars above everything, untouchable, way above. Hawk has similar medicine, having that perspective, being able to fly over everything. But Hawk is constantly up and down to get a rabbit, back up into the sky, back down. And so Hawk is, and you probably know all this, but Hawk is the messenger of the gods. He's the bridge between spirit and the world, right? And so, and the fact that he came up upright, part of the message is that you're doing better than you think you are. That and maybe to when okay, what I'm hearing is that sometimes you forget that you have wings. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but it's like Hawk down on the ground, like forgetting that he can fly, and that wow, okay. Call on your ancestors to help you remember your wings. That's the message I'm getting. That it's easy to get caught into the physical world challenges and all the logistics and everything of the physical world, kind of the two-dimensional world. But don't forget that you live in 3 dimensions, or, technically more than 3 dimensions, but that you have the ability to rise above and to see everything in perspective. It's kind of like when I'm teaching people about like spirit guides and such, it's not necessarily that your spirit guides are all wise and know everything, but it's like you're at a ball game, like a baseball game or something, and you're down on the ground level and they are up in the bleachers. And so you're seeing everything 2-dimensionally. You're only seeing, straight on. But Hawk is reminding you that you can soar above it. You can be from the bleachers to see the entire panorama of things beneath you. So it's not A plus B equals C, right? It's not linear, that there are no boundaries, and that somehow it all fits together and it makes more sense from the air. Kind of like the Nazca lines. That's what just popped into my head. To take a look at your life from a higher perspective, and to remember your ancestors. Remember the roots and the wings. The roots that hold you to the earth and the wings that help you soar free. So call on Hawk, call on your ancestors. Like, one of the things I like to do when I remember, before I go to sleep, my teacher, Sandra Ingerman, used to talk about this all the time in her workshops, about asking for healing dreams. Asking to be shown that perspective before you go to sleep. Call in your ancestors. Call in the spirit of Hawk to help raise you to get that perspective, to see, because from the ground level, it looks like you've got 1 or 2 choices, right? But from the air, there's so many different choices and opportunities to there's like an infinite number of directions that you can go. There's things you can do that from the ground level you can't see because you're in the crux of it, seeing it more linearly, seeing it more like as obstacles. But when you get to that higher height, you can see. It was kind of like from the ground you can have it's like forced perspective. Like, I'm gonna geek out here a little bit, but like on the Xena Warrior Princess TV show, they would deal with like giants and such, right? But they didn't use computer graphics. What they did was they had the giant standing closer to the camera, and then like Xena would be like 20, 30, 40 feet on the other side of the giant, but they would look at each other as if they were looking in the eyes, but it's like the giant's here and she's here, and so it looks like the giant is bigger. And so from the ground level, things can look bigger than they actually are. But when you bring them into alignment, if you can look them in the eye and see that there is nothing more powerful than you. Does that I hope that makes sense. And so by getting that aerial vision, you can actually see how things to fit together. You can see that things aren't as close as they might seem on the ground. You can see that things aren't necessarily as big as they seem on the ground. Like if you've ever seen the drone videos of like a forest, like when you're in the forest, it's like tree, there's like no space. But if you see one of those aerial shots, it's like there's a tree, and then there's a tree, It's like the tree here, and then there's a tree here, and then there's a tree here, and there's like space between all the trees. Like they don't overlap each other so much. Oh, good. So that is making sense. You're stuck in your PTSD. Awesome. Oh my God, I just got chills. I'm so glad that you got that. And know that there is no one and nothing in the universe that is more powerful than you. There is no one and nothing that can hold you down. You belong in the sky. You are not meant to grovel around on the ground. You are meant to fly. And you have my messenger, etc. At some point, if you feel like you need a soul retrieval or something, please seek me out, connect with me, and we can work something out. So I'm glad that helped. I'm so glad. Thank you for reaching out. And I would love to talk with you some more at some other time. So awesome. Thank you, Rebecca. It's good to meet you. All right, Valerie, you are next. Valerie. Oh, thank you, Rebecca. And it's Patrick, not Steve. But that's okay. Maybe that was maybe that's where we knew each other in a past life or something. So Valerie, you got porcupined. Oh, the talk to text said made it. That's okay. I will answer to almost anything. So it was really good to meet you, Rebecca. I really hope that helps. Let me know if you need anything else. Okay? All right. So Valerie, thank you, Rebecca. You rock too, you know? I appreciate you. Valerie, you got porcupine in reverse. So again, porcupine is basically the inner child. It's the innocence, that original purity of heart, that eyes of wonder like the eyes of a child. Oh, Josh, you had an important shaman named Steve who just passed. Wow. I guess he must have been here helping me. So, again, Valerie, so porcupine in reverse is remembering and trusting your true nature, that true inner nature, that because it's when you think of porcupine, I know I've said this many times before, but people probably get tired of hearing about it, but porcupine to me is like a star, like with the if you look at each of those quills as a ray of light, and you've got porcupine with these rays of light radiating out from his center, and so he's protected. He doesn't have to worry about what's coming at him. And if something comes at him, he doesn't have to worry about it either, because anything or anyone that comes at him will get a mouthful of quills and will be in pain and have to run away. So he can go about being his own little curious self, just wandering through the woods, digging up grubs and looking at shiny things. Um, so it's really about focusing inwardly rather than outwardly, looking at what's coming, radiating from your true nature, focusing on the inside rather than always being protective of what's going on outside. And we've talked about this. It's like there's a lot of talk about, changes in the world and how we have to prepare and what we have to be ready for and all of this kind of stuff. But at the same time, if we just listen to our hearts and stay present in the moment, we will have everything we need to get through all of whatever happens. It's a question of frequency. When you're radiating that truth and integrity and authenticity outward, that's setting your frequency. And so the universe, the world has to reflect that frequency. You can't have a higher frequency. If you have a higher frequency, lower frequency stuff just can't get in. And so rather than worrying about your place in the world, worrying about how to fit into the world, worrying about what they can do to you, it's about remembering that innocence, that divine spark within you. Hey, Esperanza. Welcome. What was I going to say? Kind of along the same line. I follow Sadhguru on Instagram and such. I love him. And I saw a thing where he was talking to someone. This guy was asking him if he had ever smoked weed or drank alcohol, and Sadhguru was saying, it was like, I don't need to. I'm drunk all the time. I'm high all the time. It comes from within. And the other guy's like, but aren't you curious? Aren't you curious about what it feels like to do this or that? And Sadhguru's like, I don't need to, what's that leaf? What happens if I smoke it and how does it feel? He's like, beyond that, right? And it's kind of the same thing. It's like you're beyond two-dimensional, like day-to-day things, worrying about what's going to be powering you from the outside. When you're lit up from the inside, you don't need that outside stuff to stimulate you, to protect you, to, make you feel better, to save you. It's about building that light within. I just did a class this morning with John Lockley, who's a South African shaman, and he was talking about, actually I've got my notebook right here, so let me he was talking about sharpening your ability to conduct the spiritual electricity, that it's about becoming that lightning rod for spiritual energy. Because when you do that, you don't need, I'm stumbling over what I'm trying to say. When you come from a place of curiosity and adventure, knowing it's that friendly versus a hostile universe thing again, right? Okay, I'll see you later, Deb. I hope the repeat works better for you since I keep freezing on you. So thank you for joining us, and I will see you later. Um, it's about turning up the voltage of that spirit within you. And when you're coming from the inside out, then everything is an adventure. If you live in a friendly universe, you know everything that happens, every person you meet, there's a purpose there. If you're exuding this higher frequency and this trust in the universe, then every person you meet has a purpose. Everything that happens has a purpose, and you can trust that there is a higher purpose for it. And you realize that you don't have to pull. It's about radiating out versus pulling in. And when you're curious, when your energy and your focus is turned to, oh, what's that? Oh, what's that? Oh, what? Oh, I want to go try that. Then you don't have that energy to expand to protect yourself. And actually, if I turn that around, it's like up to this point, we spend most of our time putting our energy out in protection, right? We try, well, how do I protect myself? And we learn how to shield, and we learn how to separate and how to detach which is fine, and there's a place for that and a time for that. I'm not saying don't protect yourself, but at some point, there has to be this place of surrender where you realize that you are eternal. You are an eternal soul. No matter what happens here, you will go on and on and on. And not that you want to jump off a cliff or jump into a volcano or anything like that, but when we take our folks, think about all the energy we expend outward to protect ourselves, to put a barrier between us and life and the world, right? And if you took all of that energy back and put that into your, turning up the voltage within you, think about the light that you would radiate outward and how that is its own protection. Just like Porcupine, you don't have to worry about things coming at you out of the blue. You don't have to worry about being taken down, because everything that happens has a higher purpose, because you're living at a higher purpose than just, like root chakra, fear, survival. You're moving up the ranks to the place where you trust the universe, right? So I hope that is helpful, Valerie. Amaral, you are next. All right. Amaral, you have Mountain Lions, one that came up. Yes, Valerie, you have been shining brighter lately. Amaral, so you got Mountain Lion, and Mountain Lion is about leadership. And this is kind of a validation to you that, I just got chills again. You have been claiming your power. You have been claiming your place as a leader, as a teacher. And that doesn't mean you don't stop learning or you don't stop evolving, but it's like this leadership where your courage, your heart becomes your authority. And like mountain lions are pretty solitary. They tend to be pretty solitary. And they cover huge territories. So they usually don't really encounter each other unless they're seeking out for um, mating and that kind of thing. So there's like mountain lion shows, I want to say, this expansion of territory. Like there's so much more right now that you're willing to claim, that you have grown, you have set your stakes into the earth. You know exactly what your territory is. You know what is outside of your territory, but you also, because you're trusting your heart so much, because your heart is your authority, you hold your ground. You don't need to back down. You don't have to get permission from someone else. You don't have to justify yourself to anyone else. It's like, roar! Like, this is what I know. This is my territory. You know, and the being able to express yourself, to roar, right? And to show the teeth, to show the claws, if need be. And the thing is, the claws and the teeth and the hissing, those are communication devices to avoid conflict, to avoid violence. So it's like claiming that power, stepping into your power, so that you like you have teeth. There, you have teeth to your knowingness. You have teeth to what you do. You have traction. And so you're able to express that. You're able to hold your boundaries, right? And watch over your territory. And at the same time, it's that, you know, that ability, that kind of the hunter-predator instincts, the claws and the teeth, that allow you to be the soft, cuddly kitten at the same time. It's not an either or. It's kind of a real balance between that masculine protective energy and that feminine, soft, imaginative, whatever energy. So it's that ability to hold your ground. And because you know your abilities, because you're confident in your abilities, you're able to like back off of the, you know, you don't have to be protecting yourself every moment of the day. It's like you're comfortable in your own skin. You're really finding your own voice. That's beautiful. So if nothing else, I want you to know that this is a validation of how far you have come. You're no longer a cub. You have come into your full adult mountain lion, feline, mother puma, whatever, energy. And you know your stuff. You're confident in your stuff. You're not just blowing smoke. So I hope that helps, Amaral. All right. Josh. Josh, you are up. The roller coaster king. I really, really hope that you write a book, Josh. I know I would be the first in line. Josh is one of my students, and he has the most amazing shamanic experiences and traveling around in his car to different theme parks and all of that. Oh, you're so welcome, Emerald. It was really cool to see you on here. I'm glad that was helpful. So Josh, I hope you're keeping notes, that you're writing things down, because I really want to read your book. All right. So let's see, Josh. All All right, Josh, this is interesting. You got Hawk, but it came up reversed. So the message I keep hearing is don't forget to look up. But I'm thinking about you and the roller coasters and stuff. It's totally Hawk. It's up and down and around and um, but don't forget to look up. Don't forget. Okay. Crown chakra. Make sure you're opening your crown chakra to receive that spirit and that light from upward, right? I know when a lot of times when I get down in the dumps or that kind of thing, a lot of times it's like, oh, right, I need to open my crown because it's like, especially when you feel like there's something over your head, there's something hanging over you. And it's because your crown is closed. You need to open that up to receive the light and the blessings of Great Spirit. Does that make sense? You're looking up at one of the tallest roller coasters in the world right now. Awesome. And again, kind of along the lines of, for Rebecca, remember that you have wings. Okay. Also, don't underestimate the messages you have for others. Know that you are, in reverse, it's kind of like, oh yeah, I had that thought. If I had, I could have said something and it would have been easier for that person or whatever. But it's just me. I'm just weird or whatever. But trust your intuition. Oh, awesome. Especially as an artist, I know you do those beautiful landscape. You want to, the best scenes are from the hilltop or from the mountaintop, right? But don't underestimate your own intuition, your own connection. You are a messenger of the gods. You are very intuitive. And especially all the different places you go and the different people that you interact with aren't necessarily the places where there's like a lot of, and I could be wrong, but there's not a lot of spiritual space. No, and maybe I'm wrong. I could be totally wrong. But it's like to open up and bring spirit into those places where spirit doesn't usually, the places where you don't associate with like spiritual talk and understandings. And it might be that you are the bridge or the glue to connect things that don't normally get connected. So trust your voice, trust your wings, trust your knowingness. When you feel like there's something to be said, always ask before, we don't want to just volunteer and run over people with what we have to say. We want, it's always better to ask, hey, I've got something, are you interested in hearing what I'm thinking of right now or what just popped into my head? And then, present people with different options, different things or of different things that they haven't thought of, different ways of looking at things, right? But bringing that spiritual presence into an arena that doesn't normally get that presence. Does that make sense, Josh? I hope that is helpful. I hope that makes sense. But Hawk makes total sense with you riding them roller coasters up and down and around, and that's beautiful. Awesome. Thanks for joining me, Josh. It's good to see you. All right, Joe, you are up. All right, Joe. Okay, Joe. I didn't even think of that. I just was saying what spirit arena has a special significance to you. I didn't even think of that when I said it. I was just saying what was coming through. That makes total sense too, Josh. Good job. Good job. All right, Joe. You got antelope in reverse. And antelope medicine, antelope is kind of like, it's almost a more primal version of buffalo medicine, in that there's a story that goes with antelope that when people first came across, and there's lots of holes historically and mythologically for this story, but just go with it. It's a story. When the people first came across the Bering Strait into the Americas, of course, that Bering Strait bridge was because it was an ice age, right? It was mostly ice coming across. They came across in the ice age, everything was frozen. So they had been vegetarian. So they didn't know what they could eat. They were freezing. They were hungry. They didn't know how to survive. An antelope saw their plight, and he leapt in and said, "Take my flesh to eat. Take my hide for your clothing and for your shelter. Take my bones for your tools." And so the real essence of antelope medicine is sacrifice, but not in the Christian martyrdom sense of the word. What antelope comes along and tells us is to sacrifice, to let go of whatever it is that is holding you back from expressing your full self. Okay? Like antelope knew that he wasn't just this blood and skin creature. He knew that he existed beyond that. So he knew he could give up those things. He could sacrifice those things to help others, because it was a win-win. It wasn't, okay, take my leg, take my head, I'll be okay. It was, okay, you can take these things because I go on eternally, and I will be born back into the herd come springtime. So my sacrifice actually helps to lighten him up so that he can achieve that perspective. Again, there's a lot about perspective tonight. That's interesting. As a spirit without a body. And so it's really a win-win. Sacrifice is not about giving something. We think sacrifice is giving up that thing that we love most, when sacrifice is about giving up those things that don't serve us, like habits, addictions. And they're not necessarily bad things, but like turning off the TV, or, stop eating when you're actually full and not reach for the extra chocolate cake or whatever. Different things to that help you achieve that alignment and wholeness of who you actually are. Sacrifice, the word sacrifice actually means to make sacred. So when you sacrifice something, you are making it sacred. You are thanking it for its place, because everything, where you are is perfect, and everything that has led you to be where you are has been perfect. It has served a purpose. And then when you realize there's more, then you make that thing sacred by letting it go, right? Everything that's alive, including the trees, including the stones, it's a flow of energy, right? And we get stagnated, we hold on to things, and we keep that energy from flowing. So like these addictions or habits or different things that we think, it can be thought forms or beliefs that keep us stuck. And it's those things that are blocking that flow of energy. So by giving those up, sacrificing those things, we actually make ourselves sacred as well by opening that flow of energy, so that, like porcupine, we can radiate that love and that light. So I almost said unicorn. Antelope in reverse is kind of, it's a signal to see, okay, what is holding me back? And it's not that necessarily that it's easy to give things up, but it's like seeing those things. Like I used to have this huge record collection. I was a DJ in college, and I had enough of my own albums to support a weekly radio show. It was a country western show on this alternative college radio station. But I had enough albums, and I loved my albums. And as I moved out here from Minnesota and moved different apartments, different places, I kept kind of thinning down my record collection until I only had a few left. And then finally I gave those up as well, but I still held on to my record player, my turntable. And one day I'm looking at it, it's like, why am I holding on to that? I don't have any records to play. I'm holding on to it just because someday I might get another record, or I might go buy some record albums to play. But so this physical object is taking up physical space in my home. But there was that part that's like, oh my God, who would I be without this though? And it becomes such a part of my identity. I'm like, oh my God, who would I be if I give this up? And then the thought came in like, oh my God, who would I be without that? Who could I be without that? And so I gave it up, and it opened this space, and it helped, just like Antelope giving up his physical body to rise to spirit. Giving up that physical object allowed me to let go of that identity that was holding me back, and to fill out more of who I truly am. Does that make sense? So ask yourself, what is it that is holding you back that you can release? And you can do it ceremonially. It's not, I hate you, get out of my life. It's like, thank you for your service. Thank you for supporting me up to this point. I appreciate you, and I release you, that I may rise and that you may help someone else, or you may, that send that energy back to the earth, that she can recycle that energy into something more creative, to make that energy available for others to use. So I keep thinking about, I was raised Catholic, and every Lent we would give up candy, right? And it was kind of this weird thing. Like when I look back in hindsight, it's like the Catholic view is like the sacrifice, the whole purpose of the sacrifice was to feel the suffering of giving something up, right? The suffering was the point. The suffering was going to help the poor souls in purgatory lessen their sentence in purgatory and rise to heaven or whatever. But the real gold there, the real value there is finding out who you are without the sugar, without the sweets, or without the coffee or the caffeine or whatever it is. It's about embracing who you are without these superficial things, right? It's about, again, like I said with Porcupine, turning that sight inward into who you really are. And when you realize who you are and you're working from the inside out, you can still have those things around, but you're not identifying with them. It's like, oh, I'm nothing unless I have a cup of coffee in the morning. Or, oh my God, I've got to have my donuts. Or whatever. Oh, I've got to watch that show every week. You don't. Who you are is beyond all of that. You can still do those things with full awareness, but just giving up that belief, that identity of, I have to watch that, or I have to do that. It's about finding out who you are underneath all those exterior things, okay? So I hope that makes sense. Awesome. I'm glad that you're hearing that. All right, Roulette, my friend, you are last. You are the next and the last, the Alpha and the Omega. Wow. Okay. As I was shuffling cards, I saw this one flipping through, and it kind of caught my attention. And then it came up. My nose is itchy, which means the spirits are here. Wild Boar is about initiation. In reverse, it can be a lot of conflict, a lot of hesitancy and fear, not wanting to face those inner demons. But Boar is here to tell you that you have the strength and the courage to do that. You know, Boar is perhaps the fiercest animal on the planet. And because of that, like all over the globe in different indigenous communities, it's killing a wild boar that is the rite of passage to adulthood. And so Boar kind of impersonates our inner demons. Kind of like with Joe and that sacrifice, this is a little bit deeper and letting go of everything you ever thought you were and stepping in to that power of who you really are. So it can be a very tumultuous time. It can be very confusing. I've been through my share of initiations, and I know there's plenty more to come. It's like a day-to-day life of a shaman, but you're getting ready to level up. Things would not be this shaky. Things would not be falling apart if there weren't something bigger and better pushing its way into your life. So when things start to fall apart, when things are topsy-turvy, and that includes your emotions and your mental everything, those things could not fall apart unless there was something pushing its way in. And so it's kind of like through all of that, trusting, breathing through it all. I don't know if you saw one of my, I think it was 3 comics ago. For those who don't know, I'm a cartoonist. I have a blog where I post my comics. But I think it was like 3 comics ago, I did a thing about feeling like I was going into like the tunnel of love, like I was in this boat going into this dark tunnel. I couldn't see around me. I didn't know what was coming, but I knew things were going to be jumping out in the dark at me, and lights would flash, and all these things were an effort to pull me out of myself. But if I stayed in the boat, I knew I was safe. The boat, I didn't even have to worry about controlling the boat. The boat knew exactly how fast to go. It was on a track. It knew how to get there. And so as long as you stay, just sit with those feelings. Again, it's like aligning inside of yourself and trusting that no matter what it looks like on the outside, no matter what comes to threaten you, as long as you're centered, as long as you stay in the boat, you're going to pass those by. They can't even touch you. It's illusion. It's all illusion. And so the more you can stare your demons in the eyes and just walk through them, even if you're quaking in your boots, that doesn't matter. Courage comes from fear. Fear is the seed of courage. Without fear, there would be no courage. So Boar is a signal for you to gather your courage, to know that you are greater than anything. Oh, you just started getting your license for your own bit. Trust that the universe is not going to give you the desire or the passion to do things without providing the resources to do them. And know that your fears are just illusions. It's like I've talked about Boar before. If you think about Boar as your fears, it's like Boar kind of patrols the outside of your reality bubble, right? Kind of keeps you in the comfort zone, keeps you stable, actually serves you. It's kind of like being the seed casing of a seed, the hard shell that protects and allows the softer inner shell to grow and evolve. But at some point, that inner seed has to push beyond the seed casing. Otherwise, it's not going to go anywhere. And it's kind of like that's where you're at right now. That seed casing is breaking. You're outgrowing your old reality, and that seed casing is breaking around you. You don't know what's on the outside, so there is fear there. And so when you start to break through that barrier, Boar goes from being the protector to being the gatekeeper. And it's just like if you were playing a video game, and every time you finish a level, you have to fight the boss, right? There's always that boss that's there. And unlike the boss in the video game, Boar's purpose is not to kill you. It's not to put you in your place. It's not to prevent you from going anywhere. Boar is there as the gatekeeper to make sure you have all of the experiences, all of the tools, all of everything you need to survive on the next level. And so if you are facing Boar, if your fears are coming up right now, it's a sign that you have everything you need to step forward. Because just facing your fears, just facing Boar, looking Boar in the eye, is calling back your power. And as you step forward, your fears only have the power that you give them. If you turn and run from them, they just get darker and bigger and scarier. But if you face them, they can't hurt you, because the truth of you as a divine being of light and love is so much bigger than any small shadow fear that you could possibly have. And so it's about, like, again, bringing Porcupine into it, bringing up that light within you to shine through those shadows, to see, oh, how could I have possibly been afraid of that, right? Rebecca, I see you people keep commenting, and I don't always get to see the comments, but I will read them afterwards and I will answer you. Yes, it's like owning your space. I think I mentioned that last week. Owning your space. You are always in the right place at the right time. And there is no one with authority enough to tell you otherwise. And that doesn't mean just physically where you are, but where you are spiritually, emotionally. Own your space. You're there for a purpose. Even if it's to realize, oh, this isn't where I belong, right? But everything that I have been learning lately, everything that has been coming to me has been about being present. Because I've honestly been feeling kind of stuck lately, kind of stagnating. And so I did a journey to my upper world spirit teacher, who is Fred Rogers. And I was asking, like, how do I move forward? What do I need to do to move forward? And he was like, you move forward by staying present. I was like, oh, awesome. Okay, so how do I stay present? And he just shut up and just kept looking at me. It was like, oh, right. Okay, so for the rest of the journey, it was in a group. I just sat there and practiced being present. Every time my mind wandered, I would bring myself back to center. And then I would realize that, oh, even these thoughts, they might be trying to take me into the future, but that thought is happening now. And so to have that anchor, to be anchored in the present moment. The present is your point of power, as Seth always said. The past is done, the future is unwritten. Right now is the only truth. So when you stay present in every moment, and you're whole in every moment, you have everything you need in every moment, then every moment to come, you're automatically taken care of. Okay? I hope that helps. Yes, I did see, Rebecca, that it was the text talk thingy that turned my name into Steve. So, all right. So one more card. This is the card, the general card for everybody, whether you got a personal reading or not. This is a card to cover everybody. This is the card you've all been waiting for. Ha! All right, so Black Panther in reverse. And this is kind of a follow through with what I was saying to Roulette. Black Panther is about embracing the unknown. The darkness of Black Panther is the womb, the cosmic womb of the cosmic mother. Every possible reality exists in that darkness. We are taught when things are unknown, when we don't know what the future is, we say, oh, it's a dark future, and we assume worst case scenarios, right? We project our own fears into that darkness when that darkness contains every possible reality, from the darkest to the most glorious. And so when you're faced with that unknown, instead of projecting the worst case scenario, that darkness is meant to be adventure. It's like getting the excitement, because Black Panther reminds us that we are the captain of the ship, right? It's the as above, so below. Black Panther, with his shimmering, glimmering coat, reflects the night sky, what we think of when we think the universe, infinity. And so it's a reminder that you in this body, you in this moment, are creating your reality. Your job is to set your destination, like I always talk about the cosmic GPS, right? Your job is to set the destination. It's like, okay, set those headings, and then universe comes and gets you there, tells you the quickest, easiest route to get where you're going. Not that there might be road work along the way, you might be brought through some kind of seedy neighborhoods on the way, but everything that from the time you set that intention until you realize it, you are on that road. And everything on that road serves a purpose to help you become, again, like with Bohr being the boss, it gives you the experiences you need to become the person you need to be to arrive at that destination. If you need to heighten your frequency in order to resonate with that destination, then that pathway will give you the challenges you need or the perspective changes in order to raise your frequency to achieve whatever that destination is. So, and it's kind of like that. I love that one song by Natasha Bedingfield, I think is her name, Unwritten, about, the book. I am writing the book now. There's like all these blank pages ahead of me. It's unknown. And that is exciting because I get to write my story, right? And the other thing that they've been kind of poking me to say, when we have that sense, like I was talking about earlier, being on the ground level versus the bleachers, right? We tend to be kind of down toward the ground, and so we think everything's an either or. But when you bring in the wisdom of Panther and you trust your guidance, again, like Mountain Lion that was earlier, the cats are the way they are because their heart is their authority. They don't answer to anyone else. You are the apex predator of your life. You are the sovereign of your domain. And by feeding yourself, taking care of yourself, you're automatically taking care of everyone around you. Like Panther takes like the weakest or the slowest of the herd, and that helps to strengthen the herd, make the herd healthier, right? And so by seeing to his own needs and trusting that guidance, he's automatically strengthening everyone on the wheel of life around him. And so when we get into that tunnel vision where there's this or that, there is always a third option. And it's usually the third option that is the answer we're looking for. We keep saying, we keep asking, should we do this or that, this or that, this or that? And the thing is, so with your spirit guides looking from the bleachers, right, and seeing the whole game laid out in front of them, if you're asking them, should I go this way or that way? They might go, oh, if they go this way, they're going to become homeless, and they're going to get a drug addiction, and then they're going to die. And what a great experience that's going to be. They are going to learn so much from that, right? So instead of asking this or that question, yes or no questions, ask, what is the greatest, what can I do right now as my next step toward my highest good? And almost every time there is an option that you never even thought of. There's somebody that you haven't met yet, but as soon as you ask that question, it opens up the gates for that person to step into your life, to open that opportunity. So when the darkness comes in, know that it's that deep, bibbity bobbity boo magic, that anything is possible. And so rather than here's the theme, shutting down to protect ourselves from the unknown, it's about opening up with excitement, like what's out there? What's on the other side of that horizon, right? What can I do with this? So be brave, be bold, right? One of the things I always do, like, if I have a choice or there's something I'm not sure how to do it, how to progress, I will do this thing where I'll be like, okay, when they make a movie of my life, what would be the coolest thing I could do right now? What would be the coolest choice? It might be totally out of the box, out of left field, whatever, but what would be the coolest thing I could do right now for a movie? And then I do that, and it's awesome. And it usually turns out better than I could have imagined it. So don't limit yourself. Don't let the darkness close you in. Open up to the darkness. And know also that when you find yourself in that darkness, that you are being held by the Mother Universe. You are in the womb. And when you're in the womb, you are safer than you have ever been in your life, right? And this is no different. If you are in the dark, if the future is unknown, you are being held in that womb, and you are safer than you have ever been. And the universe is holding space for you to rest. When it's too dark to see where you're going, it's time to rest. Surrender. Okay? Oofda. So that is our readings for tonight. I thank you all for joining me. Thank you so much. I always love this so much. That's why I keep doing it, right? And I appreciate you for joining me. Know that I am available for full-on readings if you want a more personal, private, and intentional reading with all the cards, or if you want anything else, the different shamanic services I offer, you can visit my website at perchingwolfstudios.net, and you can sign up for a session with me right there. I also do mentoring. I've got some shamanic classes I'm going to be teaching coming up. I kind of had to put them on hold because my office has my nice, beautiful, big office has the only access to the roof, and the landlord is fixing the roof right now. So for the next 3 to 5 weeks, I'm downstairs at Four Sisters in the store, actually. And so I've had to put those classes on hold because I was going to hold the classes in my office space. So I put those classes on hold, but I will be teaching classes coming up, hopefully February, March-ish. So if you're interested in that, keep watching my Facebook page, keep watching my website. What else? I also, on Wednesday nights at 7, I do a weekly live video of the Sacred Pipe ceremony. I'm a pipe carrier, the Sacred Pipe, which I also started at the beginning of the pandemic to hold space for the community, to give people, when we couldn't get together in person, to give people that space to connect to spirit for at least an hour in the middle of their week, to to center ground, and then to go out and be among the world, whatever. So that is Wednesday nights right here, same place at 7 o'clock rather than 8. And then I hope to see you again next week. Every Monday, invite your friends. Please share this video. You can tag someone in the comments. You can share it to someone else's page or wall or whatever. But I appreciate that as well. Also, my PayPal information will be in the description. I will save this video to my Facebook page, and I will also upload it to my Perching Wolf Studios YouTube channel, where I've got dozens and dozens of these videos. So you've always got a resource if you need to check in on something or whatever. But my PayPal will be in the description underneath. And I gratefully accept any donations you wish to make to help me continue this work, to get my work out there to people, you know, to be supported by the community that supports me, and to support I don't know if I said that, to support the community that supports me. So it's a win-win. And I love you. I love helping. I love being able to bring those insights to you. So thank you again so much. Until I see you again, know that I love you, that I see you, that I honor you. Have a wonderful week, everyone. Go shining. Bye.